Milce, hello everyone. My name is Veronica Sochi Valadez, and I am also Arte Yolteo. This is my art that I'd like to share with the world, and my art is very much centered on my Mesoamerican identity and heritage. And the reason why I really center it on that is because we've gone through 500 years of colonization, and with that, there's been this consistent attempt to erase our indigeneity, our indigenous identity of roots to this land. And so I've been working for over 20 years as a traditional Aztec Mexica danzante and an educator to decolonize my identity and to be able to regain some information and some knowledge about who I am as an indigenous person of this continent, and then sharing that through my ways of being a teacher and teaching through an indigenous lens, but also through my artwork and through my danza. And so today I want to share with you my latest project. And before I do, I just want to let you know that I am burning some copal here, which is a tree resin that our ancestors used as a way to cleanse the area and make sure that we have good energy and good intentions, and also to connect with our ancestors, because our ancestors visit us from the spirit world in this physical world and are with us all of the time. And burning copal helps to bridge that connection between the spirit world and the physical world. And so I'm asking my ancestors to be with me today to guide me in this platican, in this teaching about my artwork, okay? So what I've done is, over the years, I have learned about the Tonalli, which is our ancestral calendar. A lot of people recognize it as the Aztec calendar or the sunstone. And so to us, it's the Tonalli, which is actually written out in books or codices and manuscripts. And so I've studied what the day symbols are. And today's teaching, by the way, is not to break down how the calendar system works. And I'll provide links to different resources where you can look into that a little bit more. But the purpose of today is to really introduce you to my artwork and how I've used my artwork to help people understand what each day, the energies and the potentials that each day carries, and then also to help folks understand how important it is to know what your personal birth symbols are, or your children's, or even your students, so that you can better understand the qualities that you carry, and that will even help you decide what you want to work on and emphasize on in life, so that you know that you're on the right track depending on the potentials that you were born with. And this will also help you to really hone those qualities in your children, understanding that everybody is different and everybody is born with different qualities. And our ancestors were really genius in being able to understand time and space, and really understanding how every individual is born with certain qualities and potentials depending on what their birth symbols are. And so for me as an educator, when I apply this to my students and looking up their birth symbols and really understanding what qualities they carry in the classroom, it really opened up a whole different way of looking at education for me, because I was able to differentiate instruction really depending on what these symbols were, not just in the ways that we're taught to differentiate as educators in the school system, but I also wanted to bring in this indigenous ancestral knowledge and epistemology of understanding what our students carry in the classroom, and really applying that in the differentiation methodology to really make sure that they're learning in the best way possible, right? So anyways, no further ado. So I want to introduce to you some cards that I created, and all of the cards, there's a pack of 40, and they're going to come in a box like this. And I ordered stickers, so it'll have a really pretty sticker right here in the front. Okay. Now, what comes in the box is going to be 2 sets of cards. One is going to be the card that has the symbol for the day, okay, and the explanation of what that means. And then the other set, this is 20 because there are 20 days in a month in the Mexica calendar. And then the other 20 are the cosmic guides that accompany the day, so that we all understand that if you're born on the day Akkad, right, you understand what your qualities and potentials are, as explained here in the bottom. you also understand the cosmic guide that guides whoever was born on that day. Okay, so we carry these energies with us all of the time. And so I want to just go through these, and these are not in order of like day 1 through 20, only because there are different counts that exist out there. There's the count that is the most popular and most people know, which was really popularized by Arturo Mesa Gutierrez. And so that's the count that I've learned through my elders, including Jaime Vega. Thank you, Jaime, for teaching me this count. And this is how I calculate people's birth dates and to find their symbols and their energies that they carry. However, there is another count that was developed by Ruben Ochoa, somebody that I've known through danza for decades as well. And so his count is different. And so this is not to dispute which count is correct or not. I'm going to provide you with links to both counts, and then you can come to your own conclusion. And so because the counts are different, I didn't want to tie this into this is day 1 and this is day 20, but more so just to expose to you the different days, the different tonalis, and the energies that they carry. And so this one, I'm going to go ahead and start with Akkad. And so Akkad is the reed, okay? And Akkad is a conduit of heat and energy and represents our internal self, intelligence, observation, analysis, memory, and the subconscious. Those born on the day of Akkad and are likely to be focused, strong but flexible, able to accomplish goals, have a good memory, have an open mind, are honest, respect others' beliefs, are centered, confident, like to learn and analyze, show little emotion or are objective and always present, and like being of service to others. So for example, this card of Akkad, when I learned that my students, any of my students who carried this energy, I understood that they like to be of service to others, and they also like to be in leadership positions. And so I definitely took that into account so I could make it so that their classroom experience was really open to these qualities, right? So I had them be my classroom helpers, I had them be leaders in groups or whatnot. And so they really flourished under that situation. Now, in addition to that, and I'm not going to read all of them, I'm just going to give you a few examples. This one is Sochi Flower. Okay, this is the flower. And what this is really about and represents is that it represents completion. Okay, it also represents maturity, artistic abilities, cosmic spirituality, transcendence, willpower, creativity, practical and scientific knowledge, clear objectives, and the ability to produce fruit and seed. The Mexica, or Aztec people, were great teachers of horticulture. They selected and improved many plants and flowers for edible consumption and medicinal use. And also this brings up the point that our ancestors, our indigenous ancestors, created corn or maize in the way that we know it today, right? Coming from teocinte, which was much smaller and harder, and it wasn't edible. And so they were able to make it so that crossbreeding the bigger ones and that had the softer kernels until they developed eventually the maize or the corn that we eat today, which is a main staple of our people. And so we are people of the corn, and our creation story has a lot to do with us being created from corn. And so our people were able to create different types of crops and flowers, etc., for medicinal purposes, and also to make them edible, to sustain large populations. So in addition to that, those born on this day like to express themselves through art, through poetry, writing, music, and dance, like the concept of flower and song in Sochi, in Cuicad. So my students who had this as one of their symbols, I really understood that they liked the sciences, but more than anything, they liked the arts, right? Whether it was visual arts or performing arts. And so I gave them all of these different options as to how to express what they are learning. And so this really helped as well. And any teacher should be doing that anyway, but to know which students have these qualities according to these symbols, like you can really focus that kind of differentiation on the students that you know would work on best. And so I'm going to give you one more. This is Tochli, or rabbit. Okay, and what this means is Tochli represents our multiplicity, the sense of taste, and the fertility of the earth and all living things. Those born on the day of Tochli have a willingness to do things, are independent, giving, and creative with life situations. They are influenced by the phases of the moon. They like to teach, write, they like to dance, and are artistic. They also like music, math, and science. So in many ways, this is similar to the Sochi, the flower. But in addition to that, they are also very willing to do things and to be independent. So I also took that into consideration for my students. And I want to share that the birth symbols, my personal birth symbols, are Tochli. I'm actually a double Tochli. So this is the same symbol that you see on the card because it's my artwork. So I've created puzzles, prints, stickers, now these cards, etc. So I am a Tochli, so I love music, I love being creative, I love art, and I love the sciences. And I also am very independent, but I like to give and I like to be of service. And so I was born on the year of Tochli and also the day of Tochli. And I was born during the Trecena, or the 13-day period of Sochi, the flower. So again, this really emphasizes my love of the arts and of music and of science. And so I am a danzante and I am a visual artist. So given that information, had we kept these understandings and teachings and knowledge and customs and traditions intact, then my parents would have known that I was born with these qualities and would have been able to raise me in such a way that really catered to those qualities that I was born with, right? My mother would have understood that I was born with the potential to be a visual artist and to be a dancer. And her raising me would have focused on that a little bit more. And she did a great job raising me, obviously, thankfully, but just to make it easier for parents to understand their children, right? Because we can't compare children as if they're all the same, and we cannot provide cookie cutter raising techniques or cookie cutter teaching techniques as if all children are the same, because they are not. And so we continue to grow through our life with all of these potentials. But if we know what those potentials are, then we understand who we are as human beings and the qualities that we're born with. And that really helps and goes a long way. And so also to add to this, so that you understand a little bit better, is the fact that our ancestors understood that there are all of these energies in the cosmos that are happening. And we understand that too, right? With the phase of the moon, the effects of the moon's energy affects humans and the energy of the earth, the energy of the ocean tides, etc. So we already understand that. That's scientifically proven, right? And so the same is to be said about all of the other cosmic bodies that are in relationship with each other. And so our ancestors had a really strong understanding of that. And they also understood that when a child was born, depending on what those cosmic relationships were at that very moment, and that child took in their first breath, and they're breathing in all of those energies, right? And they become infused and part of that child. And so that's how those that's how children are born with those potentials, right? So we have to keep that into consideration as well. And so some of the examples, I do just want to share some of the examples of the other cards, right? So let's say this one, Tepe Yolotli. Okay, so this is the cosmic guide of those born on the day of Kali, which is the house. And Tepoyolotli means the heart of the mountain or cave or some sort of structure. It's represented by a jaguar, who is the guardian of homes and temples, which are also known as Teocalli. They're not pyramids because pyramids are Egyptians. And then the Tepeyolotli reminds us to go into our minds, into our subconscious, to practice introspection and dialogue with the self. Okay, so those that would be born on the day of Kali, this is their cosmic guide. So this tells us a little bit more about those born on the day of Kali, and that sometimes they just need time for themselves to do some introspection and to really just think and reflect, so that they can then come forth and be ready for that next stage in either the learning or in life or whatever it may be. So that's how this helps us as well. And the reason why I put them on separate cards is so that you can just really hone in and focus on what the Tonali means and then what the cosmic guide means. But then another good thing is so that you can start to learn and match which ones go with which, right? So you can create a game out of this, or a memory game. You can use these in several ways, but it's a really good way for each card and each energy or potential to have its own space on a card, and it just breaks it down a little bit more so it's easier to grasp each concept. Okay, so that's the way that these cards are set up. Now these cards, which all again will go in this box to protect them. It'll have a nice cover once I get my stickers in. Without the box, the set is $28. Okay, and as you saw, they're full color and they're on good cardstock. It has a back with my logo. It has the web page and all the information that you need there. So this is all gonna come as $28, but if you want the box, which I highly recommend, and it'll have that nice sticker in the front, the sticker's it's gonna look something like this, okay? Then it's 30, and so, yeah. But these will last you for a really, really long time, and they're really good a really good learning tool. The other options that I have is the postcard. So these are really great gifts because you can give somebody a postcard. So if they were born on the day of Malinali, then it has the description of the symbol itself, Malinali, and it also goes into the cosmic guide. So this one is the cosmic guide for this day is Panteca, and so it has a little description there for the cosmic guide as well. It just doesn't have the image because it's too much to fit on one card. That's why I did the 2 separate cards, but it does have the full description here. So this is a really nice gift, or just to have for yourself. So as a daily reminder, this is who you are. These are the energies that you carry. And again, you have 3 symbols, right? You have the one for your day, or Tonalli. You have another one for your trecena, which is a 13-day period, and then another one for your year, okay, the Elano. So those 3 symbols will give you an understanding of all the energies and potentials that you were born with, or your children were born with, or your students were born with. Okay, so these are 5 by 7, and they're again full color, nice cardstock. They look great. So I'm going to just kind of go through them with you. This is Olin. There's Kali. Malinali, the herb. Masat, the deer. Cuautli, eagle. Ehecat, wind. Kiawi, rain. Nikisli, Sochi. Coat. At. Sipakli, Osomatli. And I remember my students who were Osomatlis. These are the ones that are super active and super playful and are full of energy. So I had to keep those kiddos up and moving in my classroom and just be okay with it, because that's the energy that they carry, and they learn better by moving and being in action. Okay, so those are usually the students that they're really hyperactive, and they get in trouble for being hyperactive. But if we know that they carry this energy, and we know how to use that energy in a way that's going to help them learn in the classroom and let them be active, but as long as there's some kind of structure or focus or goal, then you're good, you're gold after that. Akkad, these are your leaders. Quetzalcoatl, these are folks that are really about regeneration, because if you cut off the tail, and I'm focusing on this one because this is my daughter, so I know her well. If you cut off the tail of a lizard, it grows back, right? It's all about regeneration and being able to recuperate from stuff. And so these are your more resilient folks, but that doesn't mean that they don't need care. You know, even though you know that they're going to bounce back, we still need to help them bounce back. But they are really good at bouncing back. And then Isquinkli, which are folks that are super loyal and great friends. Tekpat, the obsidian flint. Ocelot, the jaguar. Tochli, the rabbit. Coscacuautli, the condor. Okay, so that's 20 of them. And I'm going to show you the last. Okay, so here I have these beautiful posters. Okay, So on these posters, the point of these posters is because a lot of educators actually reached out and asked if I could make posters with information so that they can put around the room or share with students, and they can just have them up, remember them, do activities with them or whatnot. One teacher shared that he would like to do like a 4 corners type of thing, and then post up 4 at a time and ask students to go to the one that they felt most connected with, and then they can learn about that with the group that's there and then share out loud. So there's so many ways that we can use this as educational tools in the classroom as well. Okay, so what I did with this is I wanted to make sure that the Tonalli symbols were up here. So this is Goat, the serpent. And then the cosmic guide for those born on the day of Goat is Chalchutlique. And this is an image of Chalchutlique. Now, I do want to be very transparent and let you know that all of the Tonalli symbols are symbols that were inspired by my ancestors, but these in particular, the colors and the styles or whatnot, is my personal artwork. And then these images I found online from codices or replicas of codices, okay? So they're in their, más o menos their original state, but I will be creating these eventually with my style. But for now, this is what we have, okay? And then at the bottom, it has the description, the full description, like you would see on one of these cards where it has the full description of the Tonalli and then also the cosmic guide, okay? So that's what we have here. And they came out really, really nice. I'm super happy with these. I'm gonna try to show them all to you without crinkling them. So here is Malinali with the cosmic guide of Pantecat. And they all come in different colors because I wanted to make sure that the colors matched the colors that came with the Tonallis and the guides, okay? So this one is also Matli with Xochipilli. And there are several variations of all of these symbols. So just know that the one that you see here isn't the only one. And then here's Kali with the Yolotli, the jaguar, which we talked about a little while ago. This is At with Xiltecutli. And then we have Coscacuautli with Itzpapalot. This is Cuautli with Xipetote. Quetzalin, the lizard, with Huehuecoyot, the trickster. This is Ekkad, the wind, with Quetzalcoatl. Itzcuintli, the dog, with Mictlantecutli. Sochi, the flower, with Sochi Quetzal. Tochli, the rabbit, and Mayahuel. Masat, the deer, with Tlaloc. Miquisli with Texistecat. Kiawi with Tonatiuh. Tecpat with Chalchutototling, the turkey. Ocelot with Tlazoteo. This is another color. I couldn't decide what color I liked more for the Ocelot. So there's 2 variations of that. And then I have Olin, which means movement, with Xolot. Akkad with Tezcatlipoca. Okay, so there's again 20 different day signs, 20 different tonallis, and all of the energies and potentials that they come with, and then also their cosmic guides, which gives us a little bit more information. So all of the prints like this are $20, and they're 13 by 19, so it's a good size. They're the biggest that we can make before having to use a different process, which is much more expensive. So this is still super affordable at its biggest price, and it's full color. They came out beautiful. And then these cardstock, they're 5 by 7. They could be used as postcards or just as a gift. And they have the full description of the Tonalli, the day symbol, as well as the cosmic guide all in one. And then the set, which has front and back. So you'll have the cosmic guides. And then on the back side has my logo, as well as all of the day symbols, and they have their own distinct descriptions. They have their own cards, and then you can play matching games and whatnot. And then the last, and then these are, again, these are 28 for the pack, but if you want the box, which I highly recommend, so you can protect them, then it's 30, okay? The last thing I want to share are these bookmarks, which are $2 each. No history. If you don't know your history, then you don't know yourself. But if you do know your history, then you know yourself. So this is, again, some of my artwork, and these images came from my art piece that is called Shinashli, or Planting Seeds of Consciousness, right? And this is a mujer here who is holding a snake, and the snake represents knowledge and wisdom. And so she's the keeper of knowledge, keeper of wisdom. And then you see these yellow scrolls that are coming out of her mouth that represents speech, that she's sharing that knowledge with others, right? And planting those seeds. And then the butterflies come from another one of my pieces called Siempre Conmigo, okay? So we have these bookmarks. These are $2. You can also have a laminated one for $2.50, which I recommend. They're nice and laminated, nice and tough there. And that's all I have for now, but I'm really excited about this because I know that we have to really think about how we're going to decolonize education a little bit more and teach through an indigenous lens, right? And then use those epistemologies, those understandings of knowledge and how learning can work for both adults and for children. And so this is a really good way of understanding who we are at a much deeper level, and really thinking about honoring those potentials that we're born with and live in a way where you're always thinking about that. Like, I know that this works best for me, or my potential can really shine in this arena or using this method because that's what's natural to me. And again, just to really think of ourselves as cosmic beings, as part of this much, much larger cosmic web of energies that are being shared, right? And also honoring our indigenous identities and understandings of who we are as humans on this beautiful Mother Earth. So that's what I have for you all, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions. All the links will be posted below for you to do some research on the different calendar counts, and then also my webpage as well, so that if you are interested in purchasing anything, that you can do that through my website. All right, y'all. So thank you very much. Don't forget to support small businesses. Don't forget to support artivistas. Don't forget to support your Chicana artists as well. Thank you. Tlaxcala Matli.